Good morning and welcome to our Facebook Live this morning. My name's Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining us live, and that is Wednesday the 27th of April, then hi and welcome to you. Do let me know if you're watching by popping a comment in. Hi Kerry, good evening to you in Australia. I hope you're keeping well. So if you're watching live, do pop a comment in and say hi. If you're watching on replay, which could be on Facebook or on YouTube, and you have any comments or any questions, again, don't hesitate to pop a comment on, and if it requires an answer or a reply, then I will monitor those and get back to you. So we are continuing our last week of retiring products from our annual catalogue, that is 2021-2022. And today we are going to be featuring this stamp set called Beautiful Moments. This stamp set is still available, and I did double check after our live yesterday that Very Versailles is also still available, and that was the vintage stamp set, and I double checked that and popped a link on the Facebook post from yesterday. This one is called, as you can see, Beautiful Moments, and it features 3 scenes with one with a lady and a girl, and then 2 young girls. And then it has some scenery here, some nice sentiments, some very useful birds, and also some additional grass and things here, and 2 little butterflies. Now this, the cards that I'm going to make today were inspired by one of my team members, the lovely Susan. And she's based up in Chorley in Lancashire. So if you're up in that area and you need someone to help you or look after you, then Susan is the go-to person for our team in that area. And Susan combined the Beautiful Moments stamps with our New Horizons papers. Now the papers here will last until the end of June because they're in the mini catalogue. This is just some of the papers that I pulled out, and they are watercolour effect designs. Some of them can go one way or the other, and they have designs on the back. This is me playing around with some additional ink over the back of some of the paper. But they all have a different design on the reverse. So what I've done is I pulled out some of the scene papers, and I'm going to be using those in conjunction with the stamps. So the stamps you can use obviously just on their own. So I've just dug out a couple of cards from last year, and this is just straightforward watercolouring in this case, but it is also perfect for our alcohol markers. Morning Kerry. Oh sorry, oh bless you. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Kerry. So this was just stamped and then watercoloured, and I've used it on the shimmer paper for the 2 little girls there. And then this one here, I've combined the 2 scenes and put those together, and those were all watercoloured. If I just bring that up, so really nice cute little characters. So Susan shared some cards that she created with her ladies at Coffee and Card, so I thought I would have a go at doing the same thing. Now we used the New Horizons paper for our last class in a box, and on there we were using it with the grassy grove, stamping deer and creating a background scene. But today the papers are going to be matched with the stamps, and you can either leave them uncoloured or you can colour some in. So I'm going to have a go at doing both. So these are, as you can see, a cling mount stamp. I've got various masks that I've created, and so what I'm going to do is choose some of the papers. I think this one would work really well with the lady and the grass on here, so that's where I'm going to start. So I'm just going to pop this on a block. Perhaps that's sort of in between those two, so let's pop this one on here, and I'm going to stamp and then cut my piece down to fit my card, because I wasn't sure which bit I wanted to use. And so we've got this blue here. Now this one you could easily use the other way around and have water at the bottom, and then you've got greenery in the background. So there's lots of different ways that you can use the papers. So for this one I'm going to do it like that, and I'm going to, I think I'm going to colour her in, I'm not sure yet, but I am going to stamp her in Early Espresso, which is here. So I hope everybody is well this morning. I haven't got my phone, so I can't see who else has joined us unless you make a comment. So if you are here, do say hi. And what I'm looking for is a fairly light piece here. Let's have a look. So just stamping that onto there, like that. And I might add in the birds as well. They're very useful birds. If you've got a little bit of open sky that you want to sort of fill in, then they're perfect for that. Especially if you like doing scenery cards. So so might add, and then I might cut one of those off. Okay, and I'm just going to do a little bit of colouring in here. So you can leave them open like that, and they look quite ethereal. And I think it depends on the papers you use as well. Oh, hi Joanne. Oh, that's okay. It's because I haven't got my phone on, so I can't. Normally my phone tells me who is joining, or numbers or anything else like that. Okay, so I've got my lady stamped here, and so I'm going to add in some detail for her. So let's see, let's add some hair. So I'm using our Blends pens. I'm going to need to take my glasses off though. And these are easy to colour in either with watercolour, or you could use a Stampin' Right marker because it's quite a small area, or you could use watercolour, but I wouldn't use that on this paper. Now I'm going to make this quite a dark colour so that she stands out in this instance. So let's do her skin tone first. So I'm using one of our skin tone blends. So, and you don't have any faces or anything to worry about with these. So even with these ones here. So if you're not very confident in colouring people, then this is a great set to have for that purpose. Okay, so I'm going to add in some more detail for the greenery. Let's do her dress, and I think what colour am I going to do her dress? I'm almost tempted to do a red, but I think I might try a melon mambo in there. Let's give it a go. So I've got a dark and a light. So I'm just going to use the dark to start with. Those bits of details. So I hope you're well, Joanne. It's definitely a bit colder here for us today. Okay. And the dress sort of just falls away like that. And then I've got the light. So just adding that in, like so. Now obviously you can see this join here where the line of this is. So I could take, add something darker, but I think I can get away with it. I could have used deep red, that would have definitely covered that detail up. Let's add some detail here where we've got the foliage. Let me just grab, I've got Granny Apple Green, which is one of the colours in here. And I could also stamp additional pieces of this along here if I wanted to. Now I've never realised that that she's actually holding that. Isn't that funny? Well, if I did, I've forgotten it. So she's actually holding that little bunch of foliage or flowers there. So this set has been around not very long, one year, maybe two. I'm trying to think if it came out in a spring catalogue. Normally I mark them. There we go. And then what we can do is cut this to frame that. Now I'm thinking I've still got this line here, and I think I want to cover that up because I don't want to look like she's see-through. So what I'm going to do is take Cajun Craze for the skirt part of this. So just taking a darker colour. There we go. So I'm not doing particularly detailed colouring in. And obviously you could use the broader nib to cover a bigger area, like this one here, like that. So just saturating that so that we don't see that line. We'll see less of it rather. There we go. Let me have a look and see what that looks like. They're lovely papers, aren't they? Yes, it's done here, Joanne. I'm glad to hear that you're better and back at work. Okay, so there's my lady in there. And so I'm going to cut this down and then pop it onto a card with some backing. So let's just see. I want to cut this other bird off because I only want 3 birds in there. And then I could choose to cut this so she's right at the bottom. So let's take a little bit of sky out. So the finished size for this that I want will be 13.85. So I'm going to pop a layer behind it. So let's turn that round. This will be 9.5 centimeters. So cheers. And that gives space for a sentiment up here on the left hand side. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one there for the minute and mount that up. Let's have a look at one of the other scenes. Let's put these back. So it's really easy to create quick cards with these papers. You could put boats on the water for the ones that have got the water effect on them. You've obviously got the scenery, and we've used the deer in the past. So if you've got die cuts as well, that would work. I just spotted, if I can find them. No, I tucked them away somewhere. I had the some deer die cuts just to show you that. Okay, so I want to do that'll be another good one. So I'm going to do the little girl. So I think this would work quite nicely because we've got sand colour here, or this one. This is probably a little bit more welcoming, isn't it? And the thing is, you can add to this. So that if you wanted a more sand across there, we could do that. So let me just show you that. So you don't have to use the paper as is. You can add detail to it as well as your stamping. So I should have a yellow brush here. Let's grab let's see, I've got So Saffron here. They can add some more detail onto here. So just going to pick some ink up on there, dry dot on my paper, and then I can excuse me, come back in and add more of a yellow orange tint to this. Like so. So that I've got more sand for them to be on. If I bring that up, hopefully you can see that a little bit better. like so. Just going to accentuate that a little bit more. In fact, I've got this right hand corner, but I could switch over and use this side as well, have more of an area if I wanted to. But I think this will do the job. Like so. And I can see that because I've used this on the back, there's a little bit here, but I'm going to trim that little bit off. So now let's pop our little girls down. So that they're standing on this beach. So I'll say this set is retiring. In the UK, it's still currently available. So if you're watching this from outside of the UK, then you do need to check with your local demonstrator, because obviously we have different stock in different countries. Okay, be with that. I'm going to pop them in that little gap there. Like so. I'll lift that up a little bit better. Okay, so that does make quite a nice scene in its own right, but again, you can colour those in. So that's what I'm going to do. And you could add more detail with, you've got this little piece here. And obviously we've got birds and butterflies and more grass. But here I've gone for the beach scene, if you like. So I'll say these were inspired by Susan. So I don't know if Susan is watching today. But thank you. Let's have some red buckets. This is dark real red. And then a little bit of light. And you can do this with lots of designer papers. Designer papers are perfect for stamping onto, unless obviously they've got very dark backgrounds. But if they have got a dark background, you can of course heat emboss in colours onto there. Right, now I'm going to do their hair fairly dark, obviously, because we've got a fair bit of blue where I stamped it. Like so. That. A little bit of colour. There's a tiny little bit of her face showing here and there. Oh, and we've got arms, of course. 1, 2, 3. This one here. So I'm using a fairly dark colour because obviously I've got the dark area there. So I think I'm going to give this young lady a blue dress, as there's a fair bit of blue on there. And this set of stamps is also great for paper piecing. So if I wanted to cover up this area here, I could stamp them again on some patterned paper, cut out the paper and pop it on top. So that would be another way of going over that scenery. Let's use a let's go Night of Navy for her dress. Let me just dab that off. There's a little too much ink in there. So I'm just using that dark for the top of the dress and the edges, and then I've got the light. Oh no, that was the light, I beg your pardon. Let's stick with that one then. There we go. There we go. I don't need to make that any darker. I could add the dark in, but I think that's dark enough as it is. So we have her there. And then I think I could have a sort of purpley colour for this young girl here. And let's have a look. Try Highland Heather. See whether that will work. Yes, it will. Okay, let's use the small end. So I'm only covering a small area, and this is dark Highland Heather. So just literally, I'm not doing any fancy colouring in. There we go. And again, you can add the bird detail. We've got the butterflies. We could add a little bit of grass stuff along here if we want to do, but I'm quite happy with it as it is in that position there. Hi Glenda, thanks for joining us. So I can cut this piece down. So Glenda, we're just using the Beautiful Moment stamp set that is retiring, and I've combined it with the New Horizons papers. They are around for a little bit longer, and this was conceived by an idea from one of my team members. So I'm now going to trim this one down. So I want to trim off this edge because playing with the back of it with some inks. And this again is going to be 9.5. Oh, I could make this landscape actually, and so we don't have those the greenery in the background. So let's try that. That's 9.5. There we go. So that definitely works, doesn't it? Okay. So because I've cut that down, I'm going to add a little bit more sand across here. So I've got my yellow blending brush and I've already got some ink on there. So I'm just going to extend out this sand. It must be, I know why I'm not in my normal position, because I've got a bag right in the way. Okay, so I can extend my sand out like that. And I can also bring in some more blue for the sky. I've got a blue brush here. It's probably got some enough on it. Yep. So don't hesitate, if you are using papers, to add detail to the papers in addition to what is there, so that you change the look. So if you had the ocean front stamp set, for example, you could add more detail in there. I could add some of this here in the foreground. I might just do that. A little bit of grasses sort of just here and here to fill that in, and then I can put a sentiment into here. I could also add my lady in there overlooking the others, or add this lady here. So there's lots of things you can do to extend it. I've also got the birds, so let's add those. So it's just a case of have a little bit of fun with the papers and your stamps, putting them together. So just going to pop this in Early Espresso. Like so. And just to frame it a little bit more. Like so. And then we have quite a different picture from the starting piece. I wonder if I've got the copy of what I did, of the original one. Let me have a quick look. Yes, it was this one. So that was the original piece that I used on that left hand side. So I've added more blue for the sky, cut this piece off, and then added more yellow across here to create more of a sand effect. Give it a bit of, hopefully a bit of depth. Okay, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of colour to these, and then I'll mount them up. Keeping this neutral. This is actually the colour I use for the skin as well. So okay, so those are our two. So I'm just looking whether I need to make this skirt a little bit darker. I don't think it's really that obvious, but let's just do another layer. So this is Cajun Craze. There we go. Okay, So I need to pop 2 sentiments on there, and I think these would be nice in little frames, for example, or just as a nice card for somebody that lives maybe at the sea, or loves that sort of scenery look. And I'm trying to think, there is an artist, isn't there, that does that type of thing. So I have got some white card to pop these onto, and then I'm going to pick out a layer for each one. It is a bit long. I haven't quite cut that one down, have I? Let's see which side I'll take off. Maybe. So this needs to be 13.85. So I might pick out this for the backing for this one, or the green. Choices. Let's have a look. I've got some Evening Evergreen. Like that. So taking a darker colour, that would definitely work. Let me have a look. So this is Cajun Craze, which is the colour of her dress, her skirt rather. That also works, doesn't it? Hi Wendy, I hope you're well, my darling. And this one, I think I'll pick out the blue. I might take Night of Navy. Let's have a look. I like the style of stamps, Wendy, as well. They're just so versatile. Depending on, you know, you don't have to colour them in. Paper piecing is perfect for that as well. I might do that combination. So onto there. Like so. Yeah. So I've got 2 white cards for my bases. I'm just going to cut these down, and these will measure 10 centimeters each. By 14.35. So I've just got a little border. Hello Cassie. Cassie the dog's come to join us. So I think that piece is a bit tidier. And 14.35. So I'm getting the last of our class in a box prepped and sent today. So if you subscribe to my class in a box, or you've taken it for this month, they'll be on their way shortly. And we have our online class on Saturday, so that will be my afternoon. And we had our in-person class yesterday, which went really well. The ladies loved the cards, so that was good. And we had our team meeting last night, so it was a busy day yesterday. Let me grab some pressure glue. So scribble of glue around the edges but not too close. You don't need much of our multi-purpose glue. There we go. So she's been framed, as they say. That's that one. These are the girls onto there. I was playing with sunsets in our last class, which is what that all is on the back. There we go. So just a simple single layer and then onto a white card. So nothing drastic. I'm just letting the scenery do the work, or the papers do the work. So the New Horizons papers are still available, and they should be available till the end of June because they're in the January to June mini catalogue. Obviously, when the retiring list is announced for those, I suspect, but I couldn't say 100%, the papers will retire. Normally our papers don't last more than the current catalogue that they're in. So if you want to grab these papers, they're £10.75 for 48 sheets. You get 12 different scenes and you get 4 of each scene. Then don't delay and get those ordered sooner rather than later. And the Beautiful Moments stamp set is retiring, currently still available in the UK. It's £21, and it's one of those stamp sets that if you haven't got it, I think if you get it, you'll get a lot of use out of it. If you like scenery and people. And for those that joined after the start, this is just some straight plain watercolouring. Don't know where my other sample has gone. Here she is. There's that one there where I put the two together. Alright, so I'm not sure what sentiment I'm going to pop onto these, so I'm actually going to leave them for the moment. But those are my finished cards other than the sentiments. So I hope you like that. So stamping onto our designer paper, but adding detail to the paper to change it from the original, which was this one here. And I've added sand and detail here. I stamped on the little girls and added their dark colours to cover up obviously any of the background, but you could easily paper piece those as well. And then there's our lady standing out in the field. So thanks to Susan, one of my team members, for her inspiration behind that. So thank you for joining me this morning. Oh, well done, Wendy. I think it's one of those that you could just keep using. And I think there's some great pieces of paper perfect for winter. And dare I say, Christmas cards. Because you've got some a lot of blue scenery and detail. There's one with the cabins as well. I probably won't be able to find it if I'm looking, will I? So that was a good choice. No, I can't find the cabins, so I don't want to keep you waiting. So thank you so much for joining me. If I can help you with anything, don't hesitate to comment or reach out to me, and I'll see what I can do to help you. Thank you for joining me for my live this morning. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday, the 28th of April at 7 p.m. So I look forward to catching you either then or on replay. And if you're watching here on replay on Facebook or on YouTube, then thanks for taking the time, especially if you've got this far. And I look forward to crafting with you again really soon. Thank you so much. Bye for now.